Now, there's a reason they tried to silence us, a reason they fed you Russia, collusion, insurrection. They needed to bury what I'm about to show you. Because if the truth ever came out, if you ever connected these dots, the whole damn house of cards will fall. I'm going to just keep it real. This ain't about politics anymore, y'all. This is about what they did when no one was watching. And now, it's time to watch. Check this out.
That they raided Mar-a-Lago because they were looking for this. They were looking for the intelligence community assessment, your report on Russia's influence campaign targeting the 2016 presidential election. That's why they raided Mar-a-Lago.
I believe it had to be one of the things that they were looking for. Because, look, that report is pretty damning.
Now, critics say some members of the Obama administration could face legal implications for their actions here, and Biden officials could potentially face similar exposure for covering it up. The CIA director, from whom we just heard, wants to know ultimately if it all adds up to a criminal conspiracy.
To Pam Bondi and our Department of Justice, Kash Patel and our FBI to investigate the conspiracy to do what and what charges that they're capable of bringing. But again, I don't think statute of limitations are going to impact, because in a conspiracy, Maria, the statute of limitation doesn't start to run until the last act in furtherance of that conspiracy.
Now, you feel that? That's the sound of a system trembling under its own guilt. Why would Obama, a man no longer in office, be that desperate to get back a classified document? Maybe because that document could prove the setup. It could prove the planning. It can prove the conspiracy not to be that. My dog here, y'all. She over there. Oh, say what's up, me, I'ma say what's up. Anyhow, yeah, man, it will prove all of that. Nunes, he called it what it is, an attempt to overthrow, an attempted overthrow. That's what it is. You know what I'm saying? And if you think that sounds extreme, wait until you see who else knew, because Obama, he was not alone.
Based on declassified documents that in the public record, there was intelligence information that was received at virtually the same time that the information came from the Australians. I mean, within a day or two. That intelligence included information that there was a purported plan designed by one of Mrs. Clinton's foreign policy advisors to create a scandal tying Donald Trump to the Russians. That's the essence of the intelligence as contained in the declassified information.
Did the president receive this intelligence?
On August 3rd of 2016, then Director Brennan had briefed the president, vice president, director of national intelligence, the FBI, the attorney general, and others.
When you say the FBI, you mean Mr. Comey?
He had, on August 3rd, it was conducted at the White House. It was Director Comey himself.
So Mr. Comey knew about this. President Obama knew about this. Vice President Biden knew about this. But it wasn't provided to the agents on the case or provided to the secret FISA court. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Why wasn't it?
No, we can tell you what the facts are. People can draw their own conclusions from that.
About the Papadopoulos comments at the bar that were used as justification for this whole thing, what would the FBI have learned had it looked into this information honestly?
If before opening Crossfire Hurricane they had checked their own files and communicated with other intelligence agencies and the like, they would have found that there was nothing at that time in their files that would corroborate the information, the suggestion of a suggestion that the Russians might provide some kind of assistance. There's nothing in their files that would corroborate that.
No, this wasn't one bad apple. This was a rotten orchard. Obama knew. Biden knew. Comey, Lynch. I mean, the whole table was in on it. They knew Hillary's team made it up. They knew. And instead of stopping it, they let it become the gospel and then fed that to the media, sold it to the public, used it to spy frame, and to ultimately devour. They called Trump a traitor. But they were the ones playing with fire. And now Brennan, the man who helped light the match, he's squirming in front of the cameras.
The Trump administration says it's created what they call a strike force to investigate here. What are your concerns about that? Are you worried?
Well, if the director of CIA and the director of national intelligence make referrals to the Department of Justice, I think the Department of Justice has to do something to respond to it. So putting together an internal strike force, whatever, to take a look at this information is certainly, I think, understandable. But also, I'd like to think that professionals in the Department of Justice will dismiss any of these referrals because they're baseless. They really are. So again, I stand ready to continue to talk about the assessment and what we did during that period of time. There was absolutely no conspiracy, and we continue to stand behind what it is that we have said publicly.
But do you worry at all that the Trump loyalists who are installed in those key positions would find a way to punish you regardless of what the evidence reveals?
Well, I guess they're going to do what they were going to do, Anna. I just feel as though what we did was right. It was legitimate. It was based on our authorities and responsibilities. We would have been derelict if we didn't do these things. So, again, I just like to think that, again, professionals in the Department of Justice and FBI and other places are not going to carry on this, what I think is an absurd effort to try to denigrate the work of intelligence professionals as well as the former leaders.
Speaking of intelligence professionals, NBC News spoke to the former CIA officer who helped oversee that 2017 assessment on Russian interference. And she bluntly says of the current administration, quote, the director of national intelligence and the White House are lying again. We definitely had the intel to show with high probability that the specific goal of the Russians was to get Trump elected. And she added that, Putin and his friends in the Kremlin are probably, quote, toasting vodka shots as we speak at the turmoil this is creating. What are your thoughts on that? Is this all giving Putin cover, even as the president seems to be souring on him a little bit?
I think it has, but what I'm most concerned about is the impact on the professionals within the CIA, within the intelligence community. This is not something that they deserve to have to deal with. For a current CIA director and a former director basically at odds with one another, I really hope that the leadership is not going to continue along this very political, partisan path in terms of defending Donald Trump.
Now, you're watching a guilty man pretend he's calm. He's not answering questions. If anything, he's stalling for time. The smug look, that's not confidence. That's fear wrapped in arrogance. He says the DOJ will do what they do. And maybe they will. But we see what he did. And we're not unseeing it. Because guess what? Brennan didn't just participate. He briefed Obama on what Hillary was planning before it actually happened.
What U.S. intelligence knew back in 2016, sources telling Fox News Digital that the U.S. intel had credible foreign sources indicating that the FBI would play a role in spreading the Trump-Russia collusion narrative. That was before the FBI launched its controversial probe. Now, CIA Director John Ratcliffe is expected to declassify intel from former special counsel John Durham's report on the origins of the FBI Trump campaign probe. Here to discuss what's next in this investigation and the legal ramifications for the big players, Jonathan Turley, GW Law Prof, Fox News contributor. Jonathan, I watched your interview of a couple days ago, and it was so good and so clear on an issue that can get fairly murky that I think it bears repeating. Why does this matter so much that the FBI and the CIA with Barack Obama decided to, it looks like, massage, manipulate, and manufacture intel?
Well, Laura, we're finally seeing parts of the timeline filled in, and it's creating a very damning picture. Remember, in July 2016, John Brennan went to Obama and briefed him that Hillary Clinton was going to invent this Russian collusion theory to distract from her email scandal. And so that was back in July. And then we now know, because of recently declassified material, that months later, it was Brennan who intervened, overruled people at CIA, and put the Steele dossier, this infamous debunked report, into the assessment being used by the Obama White House at the very end of Obama's term. That helped seed this whole Russian collusion investigation that the FBI then used to effectively derail the first term of President Trump. Now, what's fascinating about this, Laura, is that they're saying that this is coming from foreign sources that heard that the FBI was going to be part of this. This is before the rollout, essentially, of this plan. This is the real Russian conspiracy. There wasn't a Russian collusion conspiracy. This is that conspiracy of people that seeded this investigation and intentionally kept it going, even lying to the courts. One person pled guilty to the crime of lying to the FISA court. And so these details are very important as they fill these things out. And Laura, just to finish this up, it's fascinating, the response of the media with the Russian collusion narrative that was funded by the Hillary Clinton campaign secretly. They denied that they funded the Steele dossier, but they took that, didn't question it. And it turns out that all these other people had heard about Hillary Clinton's plan, but these reporters that got Pulitzers for this didn't seem to bother to pursue those types of leads.
Jonathan, we could be seeing perjury charges. We could be seeing all sorts of conspiracy charges. We'll see where this goes. But this is not old news when it's declassified documents and the public were not.
Mm-hmm. There it is. The moment the conspiracy became reality, they didn't just let it happen. They greenlit it. Brennan told Obama Hillary was going to frame Trump with a fake Russia scandal. And what did Obama do? Absolutely nothing. He did nothing. He let it roll. He let America tear itself apart and let you believe Trump was some Russian asset, knowing full well it was manufactured. That's not just corruption, that's psychological warfare right there. And still, no accountability, no charges yet, no arrests. Until now, when the pressure is boiling. Because some people, they just not playing nice anymore. Check this out, y'all.
The government, the Justice Department, it was weaponized. You saw it on full display against the president, President Trump. You've seen it against members of Congress. You've seen it against members of J6 or those individuals that were there on January 6th. With that being said, is that this should be a frightening development for the American people. So it's no longer just Republican rhetoric. It's no longer just conservative rhetoric. We now have the documentation that Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and his cohort that were running the country were actively giving bad information, dishonest information to the American people to discredit their enemies, like President Trump, like me, like you. And so enough is enough. It's time that, and again, I'll give kudos to Pam Bondi. She's a fantastic attorney general. So not only is she having to fight crime, and you look at the individuals, the trafficking rings, the child trafficking rings that have been busted, the number of kids that have been rescued, the amount of fentanyl that's been kept off the street. Meanwhile, she's also having to sanitize, right, the infection from the Biden-Obama administrations that had gotten into, festered, and grown within the Justice Department, within the FBI. And so she's got a heavy lift ahead of her. I quite frankly think she's doing a great job. And when she doesn't, I'll call her out. But that being said, this is a frightening development. It's proof that the United States government was weaponized against its own people. And we can't allow that to ever happen again.
Someone says we want Obama's mugshot and inconvenience. Look, we reached the point where elected officials are saying what the rest of us have whispered for years. Not just investigate, arrest them. Not just subpoena, arrest them. Obama, Clinton, Brennan, Biden, They played chess with the Constitution like it was some back alley hustle. But now, even Congress is saying it out loud. And you know why this matters? Because it means the dam is cracking. Even Megyn Kelly is losing it on camera over what Loretta Lynch did.
That had been accessed by foreign agents. She compromised national intelligence information. She did things she would never have allowed anybody at the State Department to do under her. And that leaves me back to Schellenberger here. This is page 4 of his report. He writes as follows. The Russian reports, again, that the Dutch spied on, that we got our hands on, also claimed, and listen to this. I mean, you probably already know this stuff, Glenn, but claimed that Attorney General Loretta Lynch, okay, this is back in 16, people. Remember, Obama's president. Loretta Lynch is his attorney general. And her DOJ/FBI are investigating the Hillary Clinton email scandal. And also now we learn simultaneously working with the Hillary Clinton campaign to bury that scandal in favor of calling Trump a Russian agent. Okay, so the Russian reports also claim that Attorney General Loretta Lynch had privately told a Clinton campaign official, and they name her, Amanda Renteria, that she, Lynch, would make sure the FBI's server investigation did not, quote, go too far. So this is the sitting attorney general reassuring the group that's representing one of her targets, an FBI target of an investigation. Don't worry, I got this. We got to do something because it looks bad, but it's not going to go too far. Wink, wink. This is so fucked up.
Effed up. Her words, not mine. I mean, that's what I call it too. But that's what she called it when she found out Loretta Lynch, Obama's attorney general, by the way, promised a Clinton staffer the email investigation wouldn't go too far. That's not justice, if you ask me. That's more like insurance. The system wasn't broken. It was higged from top to bottom. And they thought you'd never find out. But here's the twist. Trump knew. He told us years ago what they did. But back then, we didn't listen.
Have a good time.
Yeah, thanks so much. Mr. President, what would you consider your biggest accomplishments following Scarlet? Is it the new trade deal? It talks with the nuclear leader?
Well, the trade deals are fantastic. They're making our country very rich. Our country is very, very rich. It's about time somebody did it.
Mr. President, do you think that Congress should start impeachment proceedings against Barack Obama?
It's not an impeachment. He's out of office.
But
they should do something because you have to recognize the wrong that they've done, and it can never be allowed to happen again. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
Have a good time.
I mean, just read his energy. He's not mad. Disappointed, but calm. And the thing, man, they went after him. And they got away with it or almost got away with it in plain sight. He said you have to recognize what they've done, and it could never happen again. That's not just talking, man. That's a warning. And if we ignore it, we deserve what comes next. What Obama did wasn't just shady. It was systemic. And for years, he hid behind the media spin, alphabet agencies, in silence. But this right here, this is what exposure looks like. We don't need more investigations. We need justice. And if you're tired of the cover-ups, welcome to Team Think. Truly appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all follow me on X and Rumble, where the truth doesn't need a permission slip, obviously. And before I go, I want to shout out to Team Think 4X Club. Shout out to Team Think, and then shout out to 4X Club. I think I'm going to like to make that distinction for a few. Hold on, I got to get my shout. I don't know why. Look, I don't know why I don't have my shout-outs ready. This is just so bad. Shout out to Lori Patton, Rudolph, Ferdinand, Respman, 058, Special Family Connection, Diesel Water, LA Rams, Jerry Taylor, Swisher Tweet. And he got the Obama My camera ain't gonna show y'all, but he got the Obama avatar. Anywho, y'all be safe, man. Go check on somebody today, because this isn't a conspiracy theory anymore. It's a timeline that they prayed you never put together. Again, go check on somebody today. You could be saving their life. Peace.